Hello, everyone, and welcome to Friday Night Skype. I'm Dilly DV saying hi, how's it going? And then to my left, I have B-Dude. Let's go ahead and give a little shout out, B-Dude.
Nice animal voice.
And then to the right here, we've got Goodo Utarai.
Quack.
Then across from me, right in
I'm
front,
a duck.
is Genray.
Meow.
And then TheJonnyKage is kind of suspended from the middle. He's kind of in the circle, you know? He's right in the middle of us.
Pleasure to be here, Dilly.
Oh, it's good. I'm glad we could all get together for this momentous
What kind of
occasion.
animal makes a pleasure to be there sound, Johnny?
A polite one, all right? Now shut the hell up.
All right, now we have all the animal noises again. All right, so I've got a good question for y'all that I don't think we've ever addressed yet. I want to talk about bosses. More specifically, I want to talk about notorious bosses who use the "oh, I thought I killed you" technique. Like the "I thought you were dead, then you came back, and although, I killed you and I thought you came back." I have an example, a very good example, for any of you that have ever played Metal Gear Solid, is Liquid Snake. You must kill him 5 times in that game. You kill him in like the Hind, you kill him in Metal Gear a couple times, and then you kill him on a stupid, what was it, a Jeep with a mounted machine gun, and then in the end, Foxeye gets him. And I was just wondering, what are some notorious bosses that you guys remember that just won't die?
Ultros. That son of a bitch just would never die. I mean, he was comical and all, but he was always there and always persistent and always had those googly eyes every single time.
Who's Ultros?
For Final Fantasy VI.
Oh,
It's like this big puddle of purple slime kind of thing on my bobber.
He was an octopus.
There you go. Use slime, octopus, same difference. What about you, dude? You played a ton of RPGs.
Well, I'm thinking one that would be kind of interesting to think about would be like Magus from Chrono Trigger. Go and fight him in 600 AD, and then get sucked into that portal there, and kind of, well, you don't know if he's alive or not, but you think that he probably got ripped apart or whatever. Then you find him in a completely different time zone where Magus goes absolutely crazy, and you think everyone's dead again. And then you find him later on, and he actually can become a part of your party unless you finally do kill him. You get that choice right there. So that'd be one that I would think about.
And what choice do you make? Do you take him or do you kill him?
Oh, you always take him. You never kill him.
you always take him.
I didn't like him that much. I don't know. Maybe it was just me. But as a character, I didn't think that he was that great. As a villain, he's awesome, but not so much as a playable character.
I just
Golden's-
enjoyed the badass scythe that he had, I just enjoyed his weapon.
Golden Stud and Dark Matter is all you need.
The only other one I can think of is that I'm playing Lufia 2, and halfway through the game you have to fight Gades, and then coming up towards the end you have to fight him again, but he's literally a complete pushover. He just has the same amount of stats and HP that he had the first time you fought him, so I guess in a sense it's kind of a good feeling to be able to pummel him that badly, but then again, if you fight him the first time and you're strong enough, you can kill him anyway, so I don't know if that really counts.
Gary Oak.
Oh my god, notorious rival.
Oh, you guys missed a pretty obvious one. Fucking Bowser. He's the only boss in Mario. You kill him like 18 billion times.
That's true. My
He
head just
got thrown into his son, Mario Galaxy, and he's still all right.
Let's try and stray away from the typical bosses that end at the end of every game. I mean, bosses that are just in one game. Bowser is like an iconic boss that's in every Mario game. I feel like that's cheating.
Yeah, same with Ganon and
I was about to say,
Dr. Wily.
Yeah, it never died.
Oh yeah, because Dr. Wily, that's the essence of threatening right there.
Oh god.
Okay, Sigma then.
Sigma is a bit more threatening. If he would only change that expression on his face every now and again. Oh man, but yeah, I don't know. Outside of the RPG realm, I'm trying to think of bosses that show up. You brought up a good point with Metal Gear Solid, because that's outside of the general RPG realm. Immediately I go to 16-bit RPGs and I'm thinking of people like that, but I don't know.
There's Junior Troop on Paper Mario. You must fight him 6 times throughout the whole game.
So there you go.
I don't understand why Mario didn't just kill him the first time.
Because Mario doesn't kill people.
Yeah, I was about to say Mario.
The Batman complex.
He's super friendly.
Fat Man complex? What exactly is Fat Man complex?
The Batman complex.
Oh, no, I like Fat Man complex better, and I want to learn more about it now.
Well, see, if you have a Fat Man, you can fire a mini-nuke and take out a behemoth in one shot.
See, I thought Fat Man complex was going to be like he jumps. He's not meaning to kill people, but he's so fat that he crushes them.
Oh.
It's like some sort of like Frankenstein Hulk kind of situation where you can't get too close to normal people, or otherwise you'll just kill them.
Or like Lenny from Of Mice and Men. What about the rabbit, George?
I broke the skull, George.
Gotta stop killing rabbits, Lenny. Seriously.
Oh, it's so sad.
Well, my first...
It wasn't a rabbit he killed, it was a puppy.
Was it?
A mouse, actually.
Man, that was like 6th grade. I don't remember that anymore.
He killed a puppy, but he was talking about the rabbits on the farm.
He killed the puppy, and then he killed that chick, and then they all shot him in the back of the head.
No, George shot him. George shot him in the back of the head.
All right. This quickly got away from video games really fast.
Okay.
All right. Well, my question for you, one of my questions that I thought of, the only one that I thought that was really good was whenever I play a game, especially a game that I own, well, most of the games that I've LP'd, I've owned, but I always try to think of, like, why did I have this game? What appealed to me? Because most of these games I bought, like, pre-10 years old, so there's probably something really simple about them that appealed to me. But I was thinking, what was your guys' first video game memory ever? It doesn't have to be, like, the first game you played. It could just be, like, you seen video games for the first time even. What's your earliest memory of that?
It was Icarus on the first Game Boy.
Kid Icarus on the Game Boy?
Yeah.
Wow, on the Game Boy.
Yeah.
Jeez. Wow, I would not have expected that.
The old, like, gray, you could murder somebody with it in a single blow Game Boy.
It's as good as a brick if you need to take somebody out.
Paperweight, great. It's awesome. Yeah, but that was my first memory. My brother was playing it, and then I got to play it one time. I remember playing a lot of my brother's games. I just remember, like, erasing all of his data and him just getting really pissed. Or like Jurassic Park for the Sega? The Sega Genesis?
Yeah. I always hear that game brought up for the Sega Genesis, and it opens up with the T-Rex, like, screaming at the Sega logo.
Yeah, I remember that game was hard as shit, too. I never could get any further than, like, the first 10 seconds. But, I was, like, 4 or something, so...
Yeah. It happens. These games are difficult. It's still difficult. I love it when you run into a game where you're like, oh, right, it's 20 years later. I'm going to go back and completely dominate this game. And you're like, oh, my gosh, it's even harder than I remember.
Oh, Mortal Kombat.
That is actually a pretty good example. You're just like, all right, I got this. Oh my god. What was so appealing about this other than the blood?
Sad thing is, I used to actually be able to beat that when I was a kid. I tried playing it not that long ago, and I couldn't get past 3rd, 4th round.
I had the same thing with Fatal Fury, because the place I went to had like a Neo Geo, and I could beat the game in 1 quarter. Now I pop it in now. It's like, what am I doing? I don't know.
I love those Neo Geo arcades where you had like the 4 games in one. Always had Fatal Fury and Samurai Showdown on there. Those are some awesome fighting games back in the day.
Metal Slug.
And Metal Slug. So what about you, B-Dude? First video game memory ever?
First thing I could ever think of is I just have a vivid memory of me playing A Boy and His Blob. And I can just see it in my mind. I'm standing by the house, and I turn the blob into a ladder, and I climb the ladder, and that was probably as far as I ever got in that game. But I just can remember that so clearly. First video game thing there. It really has no relevance to actually gaming other than I could turn a blob into a ladder.
That game is really hard, too, by the way. I'm really not a fan of that. That and, like, Maniac Mansion. Pretty similar games. But really, like, those old puzzle games, they're, like, so much based on trial and error.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
So The Boy and His Blob is a remake thing? Because last time I remember it, like, first time I ever saw it was like an arcade game on the Wii or something. Or a Wii game.
Well, yeah, it's a Nintendo game originally, and it might have had an arcade release back in the day of arcades.
That could very well be.
Not positive, though.
I had no clue about it. Like, I never heard of The Boy and His Blob until it came out, recently.
Yeah, it's pretty good. NES game. You can get it pretty cheap too, something like $6 or $7. You really want it, and who doesn't want it?
I'd have to dig out my Nintendo somewhere in my storage.
You should have your Nintendo out at all times.
Yeah, it's not exactly a puppy, you know? Although its replay value is very high.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love my Nintendo. I've been picking up games like crazy for it. It's crazy how much prices for games have gone up in the past 9 months since I've been collecting them. Really weird.
You're inspiring people.
Has your collection value increased since you bought it, or has it remained the same?
It's probably remained the same, but some games I'm just like, I don't know why people don't know that these games are such hidden gems for the NES, like Shatterhand by Jaleco, which is a company that very few people even know. They made some pretty good NES games, though. In particular, Vice Project Doom, which is a game I've mentioned to you guys probably a few times. I got that when it was like $4, and now last time I went to the site that I go to buy games, it was going for, I want to say, somewhere between $15 and $18. It's a really awesome game, kind of like Ninja Gaiden or Batman-ish. Highly recommend it, though. Anyhow, Genrai, what's your first memory? I want to know what this old man has to say.
Yeah, okay.
Was it the Commodore 64, maybe?
No, it was an Atari 2600.
Nice.
Playing Space Invaders or Asteroid or one of those.
Any one of the knockoffs.
Where you're just a little ship at the bottom of the screen shooting at random blocks that look like Legos.
Oh, man.
I wasn't even playing it. I was just sitting there staring at the screen like, this is so awesome.
Last year when I was at the anime convention I used to always attend, they had an Atari there that people were playing, and I was just like, I was blown away by the fact you could put the cartridge in and start it up, and you were immediately playing the game. It's like, what? I don't have to sit here for like 2 minutes with people's licenses going by? Oh my god. How things have changed.
Wow.
What about you, Otarai?
I remember when I was like 3 playing the first Sonic game.
Nice. I gotta play more of that.
I remember there's one part where you rescue a bunch of like bunnies from a cage, and I always flip the fuck out when that happened. I'd run around going, I just saved all the bunnies in the world.
It kind of looked like you did. It was a lot of bunnies.
Ain't nothing wrong with bunnies.
Yeah, we watched that video about the bunny hopping championships the other day, didn't we? I showed you guys that.
That was stupid. That was the most stupidest thing I think you ever showed me thus far, which is saying very little.
Was it like the puppy Super Bowl?
No, that's actually on a lower scale of stupid, or a higher scale, whichever. It would be more stupid, I guess. What I'm trying to say than this.
Like,
bunny.
you know, agility competitions for dogs, Johnny.
Yeah.
Think of that, but instead of dogs, it was rabbits.
And the arena is like 30 feet by 20 feet big, instead of it being like 120 feet. Like it's really small. It was a really small competition.
Craziness.
But that's kind of moving away from Final Fantasy and Diablo and whatnot. Too much.
Yeah, well, just a little bit. It's a bunny jumping competition, so yeah, I believe so.
How many games have had bunnies in them though?
A lot. Yeah. I'm sure.
What is that?
Your hair.
What's that? What are the rabbits called in Rayman? You guys ever played those games?
Oh,
the rabbits.
Rabbids.
The raving rabbits.
There you go,
yeah.
Raving Rabbits. That game is actually fun because you get to slap the crap out of a lot of them. It's so much fun. You get to beat the hell out of rabbits the entire game.
Violence.
That's your objective.
Oh, man. Actually, that kind of segues into the other question that I was going to ask. I'll just knock out my 2 questions right away. Why the hell not? I was actually having a conversation with my mom, who doesn't play video games, never really played games with me and my brother growing up. But she asked me the other day that if you had children, meaning myself, had children, how would you introduce video games to them, considering that nowadays video games are really, mostly mature rated. The popular ones are, at least. Like, where would you go? Would you just throw them to the dogs and let them play GTA and Gears of War? And I mean, parents do that. They really do.
Yeah.
Or would you start them off with the stuff that you started out with, going back to, like, Nintendo or Super Nintendo? Would you find the happy medium and go with, like, the Nintendo Wii? and most of the titles there are, family friendly. Like, what would be some of your guys' idea for that?
I would make them play 10 hours of Dark Souls, just straight off. and then when they start crying and they can't take it anymore and they're whining, and then I'll go past that point until their 10 hours have filled up. Then I'll buy a Wii. That's probably the best thing to do, because then they'll never want to play it, an M-rated game again. I'll tell them, look, all M-rated games are like this. They're hard and they're unbeatable. Just stick to the Wii and the happy-go-lucky games.
They're unforgiving.
They really are. I'd rather my kids play like Contra or something, which is almost just as unforgiving, but at least there it's only 2 buttons, so a kid can figure it out more so. I mean, I'm not a very current-gen video game player, so when I pick up like a 360 controller, I'm like, oh my god, there are a lot of buttons on this thing.
Well, what do I do? My kid isn't going to be retarded, and he's actually going to know how to use a PlayStation 3 controller.
You just called Johnny retarded?
I think I did.
Just because I got a little bit of mental retardation. No, that's mean. Someone out there might be really offended by saying that.
I think, going back to your question, Johnny, I think that's where something like the virtual console on the Wii would be a really good thing to have. To go, okay, this is like the modern games or whatever else. If you want to
play Star Tropics.
Play Star Tropics. Go ahead.
And you could do that too. You could just go and play something older. You'd be like, this is what I used to play. See what you think is the most fun. Maybe try and find your own.
Now we're going to play all the Mega Mans in a row.
The Mega Men.
The Mega Men, as it would be.
I would just outright ban games in my house. Like, if I have a kid, they're not playing Call of Duty. Like, that's just... No, it's dumb. No, you're going to play what I said.
No video games at all. You're just going to completely cut him off. No.
Oh, I said stupid video games.
Okay.
Call of Duty. Like, it's the same freaking game over and over again. If I had a kid, I wouldn't let him play that. I'd be like, no, you're going to play a real game. Here, you're going to start with Super Mario World. And if you can't play this, I'm going to disown you and leave you in a forest somewhere because you're not my kid.
It is really, honestly, I'm the last person to really recommend first-person shooters, but it's a really good stress reliever to just shoot up something of anything every now and again.
Oh, yeah. That's why I like Team Fortress, because it's actually, a fun shooter, where every other shooter I've seen, even Halo, it all looks like the same generic. You have the same gun. You just go shoot the same thing. Well, okay, maybe not shooting the same thing in Halo, because you shoot aliens, but still, it's always the same gun, same concept.
Well, that can certainly be argued. I've played a game on Steam called Killing Floor a lot, which is a lot like Left 4 Dead. If Left 4 Dead had a class system that leveled up as you killed enemies. And the thing I really like about that is the cooperativeness of it all. It's not just people online teabagging their dead allies and enemies and telling them, don't be a fag, don't be a new fag, dude. You're working together to kill the zombie threat. And I like that a lot more. Whenever I play a game like that, I love playing something more cooperatively than against people. So, at least that's where I stand on it.
The entire Team Fortress 2 is supposed to be cooperative, but I mean, a lot of people on that game are dumb and don't know what they're doing.
Well, it is free to play now, too, so you got to kind of expect that.
But people do that in, fucking Halo games like that, and Call of Duty. Even Call of Duty... You if you have a good team going, you will do better. In Halo, same way. If you have a good team, you will do better. I don't think it really matters the price of the game when it comes down to cooperation. I think it really depends on the mental capacity of the player. And 12-year-olds do not have the same mental capacity of a 20-year-old.
Yeah, but they're really good players still. That's just the thing. They really are. I think that people underestimate how good, think back to how good you were at video games when you were 10 years old. You were still really good at video games. Hell, I've been LPing a lot of the games that I beat when I played when I was 10 years old. So, nothing much has changed as far as my skills are concerned.
But how would you rate your cooperative ability? Because if you were good at cooperating, then you could be an excellent video game player.
Well, in a cooperative game, sure. But in most games where I'm just playing single player, then it really doesn't matter too much.
I think what Dilly's trying to say is that adults have a better, sense of thinking ahead, thinking how will this help me in the long run instead of where little kids, they can be good, they can snipe, whatever else, but aren't really thinking how is this going to help me later on sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Am I hitting the ball anywhere there, Dilly?
Yeah, like little kids aren't the best team players, and team playing cooperative games, and that's what you don't need just a good player. You need a team player, and if it's a good player, good team player, then that's the ultimate goal. And little kids, 9 times out of 10, are not a good team player.
Neither are the 25-year-old guys that think they're 12.
Well, again, that whole 12-year-old mentality just isn't good for cooperative play.
I'm just going to throw it out there. Every kid I've played in Team Fortress 2 has been bad. Like, really bad. I don't even have to try. I'm going to stab them easily bad.
TF2 is a hard game to figure out, though. Like, I'm terrible at TF2. I get in there, I die within seconds, and that's what turns me off.
That's how it works, though. That's going to happen. It doesn't matter. It's like, it doesn't matter if you die. Like, your kill-death count in that game doesn't matter. It's the objective. That's what people forget. That's why it's, like, so much different than every other shooter. In every other shooter I've seen, you can play, like, team deathmatch, just run around killing people, no cooperation. But in Team Fortress 2, you need to work with everyone to do what you have to do.
I mean, a lot of first-person shooters give you the option to play objective-based play. I know, you guys remember, like, Unreal Tournament? Like, fucking Capture the Flag, Domination, Assault. Like, they had some really good objective play, goal-oriented, gameplay.
I remember playing Onslaught in Unreal Tournament 2004 for just like hours upon hours on end, especially LAN games of that. That was so much fun.
What I miss, what I haven't seen in a while, is Instagib. Nowadays it's called Rockets, but Rockets, you still have a chance the chance to survive, or your opponent will survive if you hit them. But in Instagib, you hit a person, they're dead, and that's what I miss. I miss Unreal Tournament and their Instagib gameplay.
I don't know. I mean, you throw a throwing knife at somebody in Call of Duty, they're dead.
That's true. That's pretty much the same thing.
Well, along those same lines, because I've been playing a lot of Diablo 3 lately, as you guys know, I think that one really great thing that they added to the game was that the loot that enemies drop while you're playing with multiple people, only you can see that on your screen. So you're not sitting there fighting over loot constantly, because that's been a big drawback to a lot of MMOs, for instance. Is that someone... like an enemy, I remember this in Final Fantasy XI, and like a rare enemy drops a really rare item, and then everyone has to draw slots to see who's going to get it. And maybe that's just a way of kind of like keeping the market in check, so not so many of those items are out there to have. But I really love that in Diablo 3, that you can focus on having fun and killing the monsters and just progressing rather than having to focus on, did a rare drop, so I gotta go grab it really quick, Like, that just takes away from what the game should really be. I'm really glad they changed that.
Sounds like a great addition.
Oh, it is. It is.
Actually, in one MMO I played, how they had it set up is for every person that hits the boss, an item is dropped, and the more damage you did, the better the item you would have gotten. Like, there's different tiers of items. Like, if you just walked up and hit it once, you would get the very bottom, but if you actually fought the thing, you would get a higher level item.
That sounds even better.
Well, it kind of does, but it depends what kind of game you're playing, though. But if you're playing a game what if you're playing one where your character is just a stat-boosting buffer kind of guy, like a white mage that's just supposed to heal characters, not get involved in combat whatsoever?
Oh, well, in this game I played, it was pretty much if you're hit once, you're dead. But it was very easy to avoid attacks.
All right.
Even though there is a healing class, which was kind of stupid, you could get healing and stuff. But for the most part, if a boss hit you, you were dead, it would do all your health.
It would do your health good, I'm sure.
It would do your health good.
Right up the butt.
So, speaking of first-person shooters and Team Fortress 2, I just want to ask this question real quick. Because anybody who doesn't play Team Fortress 2 is going to wonder what the hell we're talking about. What is a Kritzkrieg?
That's pretty much Instagib, actually. If you're hit with a Kritzkrieg, you're dead. That's the whole story.
That doesn't...
But what is it?
Yeah,
what is it? Yeah. It's... the medic has his metagun, and the Kritzkrieg. The metagun makes his target invincible, where the Kritzkrieg makes them have infinite crits for that duration of time that it's active.
By crits, you mean criticals?
Yeah, so a heavy under the effect of Kritzkrieg, from far away, his minigun will do 5 damage per bullet. With the Kritzkrieg active, he does 95 damage per bullet.
Okay.
So if he has the Kritzkrieg effect, he can wipe out an entire team in the amount of time that like it's active for. I think Kritzkrieg is active for 10 seconds.
All right, because I was familiar with like the whole buffing up a heavy using the medic's weapon, but I didn't know it as a Kritzkrieg necessarily. So thanks for that clarification.
Genray should already know all about the Kritzkrieg.
Yeah, that guy's way too excited.
Oh, man.
So Johnny's questions are used up. He's pretty much useless from this point on.
Useless.
I mean,
gotta move on, guys.
I mean, you're useless and retarded. I mean, somebody else
and retarded.
ask a question.
I need more beer.
I got more questions. Don't make me pull them out. I got a good one, actually.
I want to see what
you pull it out.
say.
Yeah, B-Dude, your turn.
I have to come up with the question? Oh, boy. Well, okay. Someone asked me this the other day, so it's not really my question, I guess, but...
It counts.
So, they think that every RPG is practically the same, like, gameplay-wise. So what do you think sets apart something like Final Fantasy from Chrono Trigger to, you know, Suikoden, etc.? What is the main factor that makes it so it's not like all just the same game over and over and over?
Would we count like the Bethesda games as like RPGs or no? Because those are really different than your standard RPG.
That's true.
Well, there's always been conflicting styles between JRPGs and Western RPGs.
Mm-hmm. That's also way back in like the Wizards of the Ultima series, you know, versus the whatever the earliest stuff from Japan was, you know, Final Fantasy.
Dragon Warrior.
Way back to like the 80s. But I think the biggest difference is just, I think that if you enjoy a good story, then you're able to enjoy different RPGs more so than anything else. If you're not into sitting back and enjoying a story, then you're not going to be a very big fan of RPGs, and obviously you're going to look at them as if they're all the same.
Yeah. As far as I think that a role-playing game is basically telling a story with combat, action, you know, gameplay secondary, whereas pretty much every other game is the opposite. Every other game has to drag you in with, oh, you can shoot people. Oh, and there's a story somewhere in here. I'm sure. Aliens, kill them.
Yeah, I agree. I think story is what really separates the RPG. Some RPGs, you know, the combat is different. Like, I know The Last Remnant, the combat is way different. It's exactly like an RPG. The level up system is a little bit different. But actually, you're ranked. It is. You're on a ranking system. But the battle system in The Last Remnant is really what captivated me about that game. I didn't care too much about the story. It did keep me entertained, and it did keep me drawn to it. But the gameplay is ultimately what kept me playing that game over and over again. So, I mean, if you can find an RPG whose combat, like, what's that game that was in PS2? It was like the Hearts or something, like Darkness Heart or something. I can't remember what it was.
Kingdom Heart?
No, not Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Heart?
Yeah. Was it Kingdom Hearts?
No. It was another heart. It was some other game with the hearts in it. I can't remember.
Shadow Hearts?
Shadow Hearts. There we go. You know, that has a sphere, and you have to hit the button, or you have to hit at certain points on the sphere each time. And if you get like in the right corners, you know, you get a better hit. Things like that. I mean, I think really affect how good an RPG can be. You know, if they at least try to get away from the standard level up, you know, input attacks command, and incorporate a real time effect to it, you know, like in Final Fantasy IV or anything. I think that really helps, and I think that if you have that to a good storyline, you know, you have a really good RPG that will separate itself from the rest of the crowd.
A lot of games that have come out are, you know, sort of hybrids, like Devil May Cry.
Yeah. Where
it's an action game with RPG elements.
Yeah, but they've had that ever since, like, you know, River City Ransom. Awesome game. Action RPG. Completely.
There's no story to River City Ransom.
Your girlfriend's been kidnapped by Slick. You gotta get her back.
Well, that's the same story as Double Dragon, so that doesn't count.
Yeah, but there's no level up system in Double Dragon.
Yes, there is.
Oh.
No, well, okay, there vaguely is based on the points that you have, but it's not like... That's actually good. That right there, you bring up a good point. That's like saying that Zelda is an RPG, and that's an argument that's been going on forever and ever. And we mentioned it briefly, but that's a good question to address right now in our first episode of this Friday night Skype thing.
Does leveling up,
whether or not
Zelda
is an RPG.
Well, okay. What is the basis behind that question? Is if you level up, is it still an RPG? I mean, is what
my thought behind it is that if you level up, it's an RPG, and then the argument to that is obviously, well, like Utorai pointed out when I had brought it up the first time, Zelda 2, you level up in that. Link's Adventure, you level up in that game, but that's still like such the black sheep of the Zelda family.
Yeah, that needs to be erased from history, just to be honest.
No, I mean, it's a good game. It's very hard.
It's a great game.
It's
actually one of my favorite Zeldas.
Yeah.
It's a tedious game, but just like Simon's Quest for Castlevania 2, it's not really that bad of a game. It's just tedious as all hell, like a lot of NES games were, unfortunately. But that's how that'd be.
I would look at that question like this. RPG, that means role-playing game, which means you have to progress through a story and play as the role of the character. So technically, leveling up and getting stronger through that way isn't really a staple for it being an RPG. So being that Link plays through this role throughout the game to save the princess from Ganondorf, or Ganon, depending on which game you're playing, technically, I would consider it an RPG on that basis.
But that's too that. I feel like RPG has become so much more than just a role playing game. It has so many different aspects to it. I mean, if you want to just talk about you get to be a role and play through a game, you can talk about any game could be that because you're still playing a character in a game.
Well, I think it's supposed to be like the Fable series is a bad but kind of good example at the same time, because you really have control of that character. Link, you're just Link. You're not necessarily being yourself. You're not molding that character. You're not really playing as like yourself in that position. You are Link. There's no other way around it.
I mean, you could even call, if you want to say, if Zelda is an RPG, then so is Metroid.
Yeah.
And Donkey Kong and Mario.
Yeah, all those would be RPGs. Even though Mario...
although there is Mario RPG.
Exactly. I was about to say that, even though Mario does have a specifically named game, Mario RPG.
Well, especially Metroid, because Metroid plays so much like a Zelda game. You're just really confined throughout it. It's just like... But those games are very similar, obviously. You gotta admit that.
So the question then would be, where do you draw the line as to where RPG starts and, platformers and whatever else goes?
Somewhere between Russia and Ohio.
That's a lot of distance either way.
Somewhere around there.
I don't know. For me, it's always just been about being in control of like your stat building, being able to build that character. That for me is what an RPG really is. And
I think Demon Souls and Dark Souls is actually a good example of an RPG and what RPGs have, really become. I feel like, there's two standards now, like you said. There's like the JRPGs where you have a party and you're battling enemies in a combat and then you level up. And then there's like the Fallout games and the Dark Souls games, and the prototype games. Even those like that, you're still building levels, you're still collecting something to build up your character. I think all those fall under some sort of RPG. Like I think if we could sit down, we could really start classifying. Oh, this is this RPG. This is this RPG. And this is some. Well, I don't know what this is, but this is going somewhere. Miscellaneous RPG.
Gotcha.
I like the RPGs where you get to make choices if someone lives or dies.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what made Chrono Cross such an epic RPG, was that it had multiple endings and you got to choose. Well, I guess really the only thing I can think of majorly you got to choose was like having Magus join your team or not.
Don't you have the option to save Chrono? You don't have to save him, do you?
No.
Well, I loved it the first time I played that game, and they had they put you on trial, and then based on the things that you had done in the beginning. Because it's an RPG, all right, I'm at this festival, I'm just going to go around stealing whatever I want. That's what I do in RPGs. But then it's like, oh man, they were watching me when I just stole that stuff right off the counter. Like, I loved that. That was so awesome. And I didn't get around to playing Chrono Trigger until I was like in high school. And that was so awesome. Like, it was so refreshing to me.
The only
that existed.
The only sucky part about that is the outcome was still the same.
Yeah, that's true. But it was still something. I really liked it. I mean, that was the first thing. And it's early on in the game, so it really still, it still grabs you, at least before you don't know, if you're going to keep playing the game or not.
It's what I figure, it's the initial precursor to the real adventure.
Yeah.
From there, you go and find out what happened to the world, and then you have your big quest to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
I like how you mentioned stealing things. I like how in Skyrim you can put buckets on people's head and just steal things right in front of them.
I thought they fixed that.
They were going to, but they thought it was so funny they left it.
Is that honestly what they said about it?
When it was first found, that's what they said about it. I haven't played it. I hope they didn't fix it. I think if that's true, then they wouldn't have fixed it.
I'm pretty sure they fixed it. I think they fixed that day one, pretty much. Because otherwise you could just go in and take everything. I've got to do it. I haven't played Skyrim in months, but I'll go back and clarify that for you. Or someone in the comments will clarify that for you.
I haven't played Skyrim since release. I might do something with Skyrim tonight, actually, because I haven't played it in a while.
I feel like Skyrim is like a super advanced version of Minecraft. Like, if you could build things in Skyrim, I feel like Minecraft would go out of business.
I don't know about that. That's kind of a little off there. Yeah,
I guarantee you there will be a Minecraft kind of mod for Skyrim eventually, where you can place down stuff and build stuff.
I don't know. Skyrim's amazing. I spent so many hours with Oblivion.
I wasn't arguing that. I like Oblivion too. I like how you could shoot people in the chin and they would go flying.
Oh yeah, super overpowered arrows. Send you, launch you back 30 feet, and turn into ragdolls instantly. Good times.
Ragdoll physics. Name the first game that had ragdoll physics.
Thrasher, Skate and Destroy for the PS1.
Excellent. You get a gold. You get a golden cookie.
I just had to say that because I knew it was a game no one else would have any experience with.
No, seriously.
That was the first game.
Everyone here is quite knowledgeable in Final Fantasy, yeah?
Yes.
All right.
I think so.
I was not prepared for quiz time, though.
I mean, this isn't a hard question. If you played...
We better get gold stars.
I know you guys, at least getting ready for you, dude, and Johnny, I know you guys have all played, a lot of the Final Fantasy. I've only played 7, Tactics, and 10, and 12, and 13. Which isn't saying a lot. You guys have
So you have played a lot of the Final Fantasy.
But you guys have played a lot of the first ones, and I don't know anything about the first ones, the first 1 through 6. I don't know anything about them. But
I haven't played. I played 1. I haven't played 2 or 3 at all. And I played 4 and 5 and 6, obviously. But those are just classics. Well, 5's not so much a classic, but I really love 5.
Hidden gem.
I want you guys to name me 10 Final Fantasy weapons that are pretty much in every Final Fantasy.
Excalibur, Ragnarok.
It's usually a Holy Lance.
Yeah. Holy Lance, White Lance, Cain, Abel's Lance, whatever you want to call it.
Did you look this up?
Gungnir.
I don't even know if there are 10 that are in every one.
There's gotta be.
The Masamune.
Masamune.
The Murasame.
Usually have the rod.
Yeah, Ultima Rod.
Go with really basic stuff. Standard shield, standard sword.
No, they have to be. I'm sorry. They have to be named weapons, Save the Queen.
Save the Queen. Defender.
God, I think that's 10. I don't know. I wasn't keeping track, to be honest with you.
I think it was the 6.
The Gungarin, that's got to be in every one.
The Gungnir, the Holy Lance.
Oh, is that what that is? Same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the bow called? The Yoichi?
Yoichi bow, yeah. The legendary archer
Yoichi.
Is there usually... I can't think of any whips that would be in a lot of them.
There was only, I think, 2 games that actually had whips in it. It was 4 and 8.
Tactics?
5.
Tactics have whip? No.
No, they had carpets. For dancing.
That's right. Carpets. They had carpets. You carpet liquor.
Scarf fighting. Need to use my scarf as a weapon.
Yeah.
That's a hard question.
I mean, I don't think it's that hard. I think like you just have to like look at any Final Fantasy game, look at all the good weapons, and then that's it. That's in every Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was short. How about you?
Is there more games that have like an Illumina or a Holy Sword of some sort?
Zelda has the Master Sword in every friggin' game.
Illumina was their Excalibur.
Okay.
It was actually, I think, in the Japanese version, it was named Excalibur. I don't know why they changed it.
Master Sword is Link's Excalibur.
Or the White Sword. As plenty of people got angry at me for calling the White Sword the Master Sword in the very first Legend of Zelda. It looks just like the fucking Master Sword, man. I'm telling you.
Just keep picking up them coins.
And all its 8-bit glory.
You don't even need to pick up coins in the original, man. Just go find the secret spot where you got the guy that give you 100 of them. 3 of them on the overworld. Man, you're set. Go grab yourself the blue ring. Blue ring of power. What? Captain Planet? That's all I got.
Sure.
I tried playing the first Zelda. I didn't get very far, and then I gave up.
That's what most people do when it comes to so it's a tough game. You really need to kind of know what you're doing.
Dude, my mom could beat that game though.
Or have lots of time.
What about your mom?
She beat that game. She like anything past Zelda she can't play, but she loves the shit out of the very first Zelda game.
Yeah, I could only imagine being there with like a group of really nerdy people when that game first came out and just having no other resources but the people around you to tell you where certain things are. And even finding, all of the freaking dungeons. Finding Death Mountain, I mean, it's in the mountains, obviously, but to find that's going to take a while. Well, maybe not, considering where it is, but I don't know. In the second quest, I'll forget about it. Kind of met. Jeez, it's ridiculous to be able to do that with no kind of guide.
But I mean, like, it must have been at least somewhat doable. It's not like the creators of the game would be like, okay, we're gonna make a game that nobody can beat.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are hints hidden throughout, and they had Nintendo Power. No, they didn't have Nintendo Power.
The thing about one of all the hints is that they were behind bombable walls that look no different than any other wall.
And then you get there, and it's just some old senile guy who doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's like we have 25 letters that we can try to spell out a hint.
It's like text messaging. I got to use acronyms and just short variations of the words.
Well, this is going to lead into my question here. My terrible, terrible inquisitive nature is that a lot of the Wii store and the PlayStation Network putting a lot of old games out there for people to play. And I'm wondering if your opinion is, are old games harder because they're difficult or because they're poorly programmed?
Both.
Yeah, some old games are just very poorly programmed. That's absolutely certain. But they had to be. I remember hearing a story, and I brought this up to you before we started this, about Battletoads. And I had heard that there was a kind of story going around that the original version of it wasn't supposed to be as hard as it was. But the people, Trade West or Rare, whoever it was, they said, no, we need a really hard game because we can't have kids renting this game, beating it over a weekend, and not actually buying it. And I think that's part of the reason why Battletoads is actually as hard as it is today.
So then
it is a pretty insane game.
So then in that case, though, they traded difficulty or ease of difficulty for profit. They made it harder so people wouldn't rent it. That's not really not really bad programming. That's more like good marketing.
Well, it's definitely good marketing. Mega Man 2, for instance, that has a normal and difficult setting. In Japan, hell no. It's only difficult. Only us American. It's the only classic Mega Man game that's got a normal and difficult mode to it. And the normal mode's actually not that much more different than the difficult mode, but they figured they had to put it in there for us Americans.
Yeah, they actually made up for that, because with the first Devil May Cry, where it was really, really hard for us.
Oh, yeah.
Because the easy setting, or the hard setting over there, was the same as our normal setting.
Yeah, I remember getting Devil May Cry when I first got my PS2. I got it for the Christmas. The PS2 came out, and I got GTA 3 and Devil May Cry. And I remember playing Devil May Cry on normal and not knowing how to change the difficulty, and getting to the third level where you have to fight the giant spider at the end, and he just kicked my ass. And then I figured out when you get a game over, then, only then, are you allowed to change the difficulty to the lower setting.
That was kind of a dick move.
But, kinda, yeah. It really was. I mean, yeah. But it's a fun game still. Still like to play that every now and again. It takes like 2 hours to beat on easy.
There's something that bothers me about some games. Now, this mostly comes up in like hacks of games. Like, it comes up a lot in the Super Mario World hacks. Like, you have actual difficulty, and then you have false difficulty, where like you'll jump right in the right spot to hit an invisible block and it just shoots you right down to your death. What do you guys think about things like that?
I think ROM hacks are designed by the devil, and nobody can play them ever.
Just an example again, right? Can you guys think of games where it actually has a false difficulty like that?
I want
to be the guy.
Yeah, any game where it's so much based on just trial and error that bothers me. Like I was talking to Genrai earlier, and I was saying that any good action platformer, at least from like the 8 and 16-bit era, if you can master that game enough, you should be able to beat that game without taking a single hit. That to me is a perfect game. That's a game that was made flawlessly.
That is what Demon Souls and Dark Souls is. That is the whole premise behind that game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That game's definitely meant to be a throwback to older games of that sort, and I appreciate.
I think
we
talked about this before. You said that it's like an homage to the old games.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I think that if you go and talk to whoever helped make that game, they would tell you the same thing.
I mean,
damn you, Ninja Gaiden.
Speaking like from experience, like the first time I ever seen anybody play this game. I had a buddy who was better than I was at pretty much anything I ever played. And then I got Demon Souls, and it's like the playing field like leveled out completely. And we were like neck and neck. Whoever played it more was like in the lead of who was further in the storyline. And I don't know, like as Demon Souls, as like a player of it, it really evens out difficulty between people because it's so hard. But once you learn the mechanic, like you say, you can beat that game at a low level without getting hit. And that's what a lot of people do is like, some people try to go for like the tank mode, but a lot of things murder you super quick. It is far better to be agile than it is to be a tank in that game.
Yeah. Well, can't you also leave like little notes on the ground for other people in like an online mode, or was that a different game?
No, you can't. But the notes, you can't write a note. You have to choose from a selection of notes. But that doesn't mean that it's not helpful or that it's not funny at times. Like in Dark Souls, when you get to a certain point in the game where you can warp between bonfires, there's this giant lady. I mean, she's got to be like 10 times the normal size of a person, and then she has these ginormous tits. I mean, they're just. They're huge. Like, you could sleep on them. They're so huge. And then, pretty much there's always a message down there that says amazing chest ahead. And there's always something like that on the ground laying around somewhere. But other times, there's like, hidden wall, and that's where a lot of the hints are. Or they'll say, you need to, don't proceed without poison healing, or an antidote or whatever it was. And Dark Souls and Demon Souls are like that. Like, when you're online, you can leave messages, you can summon people, you can invade people, you can be invaded. But when you're not online, you can't do any of that. So, yeah. Super awesome. Where'd you guys go? Oh, okay. I lost the call for a second. You guys were so quiet.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, is anyone going to add anything?
Okay. I was just taking it all in.
If you guys have never played Dark Souls or Demon Souls, you should, I don't know, at least watch an LP of it. Because I know I can't force you guys to buy a PS3.
I do like what you mentioned, though, on how, like, if you're online, you can leave hints for people. Kind of reminds me about those hobo warning signs you'll see on people's fence posts sometimes.
I don't know what are you talking about? Hobo fence?
I don't know what he's talking about either.
Where like homeless people will leave like things on other like fence posts for them, like at this house they're nice, or these guys they're dicks, stuff like that. You've never seen that episode of Simpsons?
I've seen that episode of Simpsons.
Yeah. Grandpa and Bart are going and he's like, oh, these are hobo warnings. This one says this house has good food. This one says mass hobo grave and cellar.
I saw that. I remember seeing an episode of Mad Men, actually. But those things don't... That's from, like, the 1920s, if not before that. I don't think those exist anymore.
It still existed. It still reminded me of it. I mean, I am aware of it. Therefore, it can't remind me of it.
When have you seen a hobo warning sign?
On The Simpsons. I didn't say I saw it in real life. They did it. They did exist. They did exist.
You made it sound like you're like, oh, have you seen those hobo signs? They're like down the street. You did.
And then Utorai put one outside his house saying that there was a hobo mass burial grave in his cellar.
Yeah, there is one outside my house. I put it there, but I still saw it.
It's kind of like having a no solicitor sign up, but not.
I don't know what a solicitor is.
Somebody trying to sell you something.
Oh, they're allowed to come. They just have to watch a video first.
they're not okay. Mormons or people selling Bibles. He means like vacuum cleaner salesmen or insurance salesmen.
I don't even know what he's talking about right now. So back to video games.
How are y'all digging Diablo 3?
Loving it. I'm the only one that plays it. Utorai has it.
I played it with you. We have videos up of us playing together.
Click the link
just so you can prove that you actually played it. I love it. If you played Diablo 2, there's no reason why you will not love Diablo 3. It's amazing. And if anyone listening to this wants to play many times, send me a personal message, and I'd be more than happy to play with you.
Just don't talk about Star Fox.
Don't talk about Star Fox. What?
I will. I will play too, but I got dibs on the sexy wizard chick.
Uh-oh.
Gotcha.
If anyone out there in the audience wants to send B-Dude a copy of Diablo, that would be awesome in my books because we're all sold out in my area.
Last time I checked, you used Utorai's credit card to get you a copy, didn't you?
Yeah, no. I gave you a credit card, dude.
You said you weren't sure if it was working or not, so I wasn't going to try.
You didn't even try it?
You said you didn't know what type it was.
Oh, right. Yeah, I kind of lost it, didn't I?
That's right.
I'll find it eventually.
So, we need a Diablo 3 for B-Dude Fund.
Well, I recommend that everyone gets it. I'm doing an LP of it right now if you're interested. I just have
to you're only going to do the first act.
Yes, I did say that today. I guess it's going to take forever to do the whole game, and it's going to get repetitive and tedious, and I don't think that people want to see that necessarily.
That's where your commentary comes in. Yeah, I just love your commentary. Sometimes I can just fall asleep to it.
Oh, that's adorable, dude. You son of a bitch.
That's not creepy at all. But it's Hans. Hans must live on.
It's Hans! Everyone loves Hans. You can always trust a guy named Hans. He's been in Lufia, he's been in Shining Force, and now he's rightfully in Diablo 3.
And Phantasy Star 4.
And he's a monk.
And in Phantasy Star 4, some guy named like Han or something with an HN. I don't know.
He's a singular Hans.
He's not in the game anymore. Spoilers.
Oh, did you not post any more? Did you record yet, Uto?
Yeah.
You did. I watched.
We shouldn't be arguing about that, live on the air, even though this isn't live. It's going to be, it's going to be up after.
We should be arguing about this post-live.
Anyhow, Utorai, do you have any questions at all before we kind of end this discussion of story?
I think we're good. I think we've had a good discussion here. It's been a good hour.
We got a couple minutes. We should at least talk about Digimon or something.
Who's everyone's favorite classic Digimon? None of this new crap that I won't have any idea what it is. You have Season 1, Season 2, that's it. Who's your favorites?
Wormdramon.
You mean just Wormmon?
Whatever. I don't know.
You mean the little green worm.
Season 2. What did he evolve into? Because that was that whole season with the guy who was evil, but then he became a good guy and joined them early on.
Turned into like a wasp.
I know what you're talking about.
Vaguely know.
No, I know what you're talking about with the armor Digivolution and everything, and like I think they brought back. They brought back. No, it was Black Spires. They're all trying to get rid of.
Black War Greymon, my favorite though. Definitely Black War Greymon.
I can't remember the name of it, but it's like a giant cactus with boxing gloves.
Yeah, that was what was that stupid Mimi? Well, yeah, what was her Digimon's name? The rookie form. Nobody.
I don't remember.
I just vividly remember that one.
My favorite would have to be Gillamon, season 3, the red dinosaur, the red small.
Hey, there is no season 3. I said classic season 1, season 2.
I
Yours
watched
doesn't
season
count.
3 though, and they used a lot of all Digimon. Or maybe they didn't. I don't remember. Fine then. Vmon. Vmon's my favorite. If you really had to get down to it.
All right. What about you, Genray?
I don't know much.
I don't know, man.
Oh, my
Don't
favorite.
worry. Genray and I will be over here playing Atari. You guys can just go talk about what you want.
My favorite Digimon's Myotismon because he reminds me of me.
That's okay. Yeah.
Oh,
It
he
wasn't like
looks.
being humble.
Lonely, eats a pound of
And
bacon
he's a
every day.
vampire.
Well, no, I
Sorry.
meant he looked like me, but okay, we'll go with
Pretty much a
that.
vampire.
Johnny knows my daily habits, apparently.
Okay, Uto was like, I'll be right back. Or no, I came in one day to the conversation like, oh, hey, Dylan, I ate a pound of bacon today. Way to break the ice.
Hey, yeah, that did happen. In fact, I might go cook some bacon right when we wrap
okay,
up here.
Eating.
Put it on some nachos.
Okay,
all
a
good.
public service announcement. It is not healthy to eat a pound of bacon.
Well, you should eat something, if anything, Dylan.
I
You're
need
like
to eat
5
something. I
pounds.
haven't ate anything all day.
Yeah,
You're like 10 pounds sopping wet.
I don't know what that
Yeah.
means.
10 pounds on a good day.
When you're wet, you're heavier.
Okay, we're gonna wrap this up. So
Thank you for clarifying that. I was confused.
Well, he said I don't know what that means.
I didn't say.
All right, we're wrapping it up, everyone. Thanks a lot
And
for joining
bacon.
us, guys. This has been the Johnny Cage. And
MB, dude.
I want to call you B-Bud from now on. B-Bud
Uto doesn't have a sign off.
and Genray.
We all have a sign off and sign on except for Uto.
Yeah, everything just streams together for him.
Well, yeah, because why I do that is because I myself, I like to watch people's LPs in huge bursts. Like when someone first puts something up, I'll just be like, all right, that's cool. I know this is happening. And then when they're done, I'll just sit down one night and watch their whole thing. So I like it when it's like continual. Like I don't like it when every time it starts over, someone's like, hey, and then they're like goodbye at the end. I like everything to be together for the most part.
You know, we will all stop that for your
I'll
sake.
just do it like the next 5 episodes.
I won't.
Conform, B-dude.
I have a system. Don't mess with my
is
system.
flawed.
Man's Go system.
I don't
Panic
care.
neutral.
Alright, well, Uto won't say anything, but the Dilly DV here, I'm waving at the computer. I know you can't see me, but I'm fucking waving at the computer.
I can still say goodbye and wave, even though no one will see it. Goodbye, everybody.